Hello and welcome to Galactic Goddess Podcast. I'm your host, Radhaa, and today we have Susan Hassen. So welcome, Susan.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. And today we are going to be talking about energy healing, energy work, what it is, first of all, how it's done, different ways it's done, and also how to pick the right person so you're in good hands. That's very important, you guys. So welcome, Susan.
I'm so excited to talk about this because, as you know, I'm an energy healer. I practice quantum sphere healing, and I've been doing this specific modality for 5 years, but I love energy healing, and I've had experience in other fields, and I've had the wonderful experiences of the theta healing that you've done for me, and traditional shamanic healing I've tried too. So I feel very well-rounded in this area, and I'm excited to tell people about the good that it can do in more ways than we think. We don't always really know what the cause of something we're feeling. You go into an energy healing session and you just get your mind blown. It's so great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's addictive because once you realize
yeah.
it's so good,
right.
You realize the benefits are they're incremental and they please let's just jump in and talk about energy work. How did you find out about it, and what do you know about it that you want to share?
Yeah, so I actually found out about it through a shaman that I worked with to heal some physical issues. I had, at the end of law school, been diagnosed with gastritis, like severe gastritis, where my gut was just completely out of control, so much pain, acid production all out of whack. And, I went to the medical industry and was put on ridiculous strong medication to turn off the acid pump inhibitors in my gut, which created, more damage. And, yes, at the time, when the symptoms are kind of just soothed over for a little bit, but the problem was never fixed. And I went on over a year just suffering with this reoccurring problem. And I heard of this shaman, and her name is Carla Fox, and she's actually the founder of quantum sphere healing, which is the modality I practice. But at the time, I just went with her. She wasn't doing quantum sphere healing yet, just traditional shamanic work. And, she got in there and took a look at my solar plexus and saw how not incredibly blocked it was, but it was like it appeared inverted to her, and it was tracked to a lot of issues that I have with family and with powerlessness, other sort of relationships in my life where there was let's just call it interactions with narcissists that have really blocked and just put my gut out of whack. And I would never have thought to track it back to that. But I noticed when I'd have interactions with certain people, I'd get these flare-ups. And so I can say that after going to her, I never had gastritis again. The symptoms went away. And it was also tracked to different things that were found, like in my root chakra or in my throat, and just having things attached to me, energy attachments, entity attachments, you name it. There was so much going on. I was like, what is this? I felt opened up to this whole new world. And after that, that was that's what I did when I had something come up. And then, I was invited by her to start being trained as a quantum sphere healer. And that's sort of the rest is history for me. I saw how this work helps people. So this was my introduction to energy work. And a lot of people have it in different ways. When you do, say, yoga or meditation or acupuncture, body work, these things involve energy being moved around. I went total hands-on in there. Let's get, let's work within the different dimensions to do this type of work. And so it blows my mind to this day, even things that I see come through in sessions, something new every time. The amazing people that I meet. And so I really wanted to do this topic with you today because I don't want people to feel daunted or intimidated by energy healing. And it's important that we guide people to find the right healer for them, because there's a lot of people claiming the title of energy healer. And so we'll cover this today, the different qualifications or what you want to look for. And you're someone who I met along the way. I tried, I've done many theta healing sessions with you, and it only reinforced the power of the work for me.
Yeah, I love, oh my gosh, your modality is so awesome. It's such
Thank you.
experience. And I consider myself an energy healer connoisseur. That's how I got into it. I started off because I was going through just ready to heal my, my life, my emotions. And so I tried a healer. I literally have probably gone to, 100 healers because I wanted to try it all. Then I found the things that I liked. And then I also found out the way that I like it. And we're going to talk about protocols and things that
Right.
because there are protocols and, not everyone has the same integrity with it. But that being said, there are many incredible healers like, Susan, that really are passionate, that really put their heart, it's like something that they love to do and they're really good at it and they're trained to do it. All those things make a difference because you have to have a passion, but you also have to have training to back it up.
Right. Absolutely. These are, I mean, energy work, it's delicate, and it's really a privilege to let somebody into your field to do this kind of work. And so you want someone who's been trained in something, and I know a lot of people have intuitive gifts, and that's great if you're using them to help people. I know people who read, say, tarot cards, and they're giving readings, and yes, there are like classes for that. I mean, I'm not calling that energy healing, but I think that's something someone can kind of just pick up right on their own. But when you're doing an energy healing modality, there are things you need to do. You need to know about the energies that you're letting in, what you're removing, what that means, whether or not you're working from your own, let's say, subjective reality versus what you're objectively seeing within the energy body. And so I always tell people discernment is key in anything in this reality. We're in a matrix. Discernment, rule number one, I would say, and use that with your energy healers that you vet out, because a lot of people, like I said, are using that title. And so it's so important to contact these people, say, before you book a session, and see what they can offer, and see what they're how they talk to you, right? Like if they don't want to give too much info, or how are they communicating with you even before the session, and how does that feel in your body? That's an important way to vet someone out, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because of my journey, I feel like I could write a book about my journey and adventure with energy healers, but I'm laughing because like some energy healers can be so judgmental. You're like,
yes,
oh, really? I can't even believe like you're doing this work and you're not, putting yourself. That is one of the first things I learned is like, I'm a very feisty woman who's very opinionated. But when I was having my practice, like I always learned to check myself at the door.
Right.
One person, so my ego, I just be like, okay, you stay here. And it was just something where I just surrendered to being just there for the person. But a lot of people bring in their ego and they can be very judgmental. And I'm like, you can't be judgmental when you're doing the work with a client.
Yeah, absolutely.
Judging your client while they're talking.
Yeah. And I don't know how one is even able to perform a healing when they're in judgment. Literally, one of the steps in quantum sphere healing is when I'm expanding, I'm doing this from a fifth dimensional space, and you can't even enter that space unless you become a match to like gratitude and unconditional love. So I take some time to meditate, get into the space, and expand. I wouldn't even be able to begin the work if I had some sort of judgment. And like when you're starting a work, you go into like, I'm in client mode. So you clear your mind. And even if I have some thoughts come in, I just pause, expand my breath. Anytime we're doing something and we feel like a thought coming in, or we start to enter judgment, you kind of lose that space that you're in. So I hear horror stories all the time of, one person told a client of mine that she didn't have a higher self after she paid a bunch of money to do higher self work. And I was like, that's outrageous. Everyone has a higher self. Look out for these kinds of red flags, because people have the audacity to say that to somebody. Get out while you can if someone begins the session that way.
Exactly. And plenty of sessions like that. I'm just going to tell just a very quick example of bad so we can go back to the good. And I went through a past life regression with somebody. She was a psychiatrist and a healer. so she took me down through a session of past life regression, and then it was quite traumatic where she took me, and then she just woke me up, and I was like, I was shaking because the past life was not resolved. We didn't clear it. She didn't even,
Wow.
so I was like, I was literally shaking. I could barely drive home. Luckily, but unbeknownst to her, I had already taken some courses. I was certified in Theta 1 and 2. But I called her and I was like, you need to clear this out. Like, I am shaking and I'm in shock and trauma right now. And she's like, darling, you're going to come in next week and we'll clear it out then. I'm like, no, we won't. I cleared it for myself, luckily, but had I not had the tools, I would have been in a very position, because I was literally, my body, your body, your cells, when they start to activate or remember something, you need the healer to help guide you out of that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And you can't leave somebody like that, first of all. And say somebody who that was their first time doing work like this, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know if that shakiness was part of it or not. That's horrifying. And I'm very grateful that I've put my energy in the hands of really great healers. But I've have people DM me for trades on Instagram all the time, and I'm like, no. I see stuff, and it's I'm not trying to bash them. It's just I know the language. I know what the realms are, so I know when someone, first of all, not you, we guys, like, respect your energy. You can't just let anyone come in your field and work on you. And so you could see where people are coming from with their work. And certain modalities I don't trust. I've already vetted that out myself. So, I'll delicately say no. So you don't ever want someone pushing energy work on you. There's a healer is supposed to have a person come to them. That's it. If someone's trying to get to do work on you, I mean, if your friends are learning a modality and they're practicing and they kindly offer some, okay, if someone, but really, no one's supposed to come up to you and be like, you have this on you, book a session with me now. That's not the way it's supposed to go. Yeah.
But I love that we're talking about all of this stuff, like the good, the bad, because it's important to have these conversations where, it's almost comedic about the things that people do. And now I'm an energy snob because for me, I'm like, but in a way, I am grateful for the bad sessions, because they showed me what I don't want, and also how to really respect people and their energy.
Right.
How you have to be so gentle. And that's what I loved about your sessions too. You have to be so gentle. You're very gentle. You're very genuine and caring, and those are traits of a really great healer. And just a disclaimer: a healer can have a personality outside of their healing.
Yes. There
was a time when I was just like, I'm a healer, so now I just have to be like this all the time. And I'm a feisty woman. I have a personality, and you're allowed to have a personality. It's just
right.
When you go into session, you gotta check it at the door, and then go into you can sort of switch into different modes. So
absolutely.
I'd love to know how you get into your zone, what gets you there and how you do it.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like I'm most myself when I'm doing healing sessions. So for me, I could be sarcastic a lot, or I like to, make jokes and stuff. And I know I feel like timing, I finally nailed. I'm not going to tell someone something traumatic and phrase it in a joke. And for me, it's before I begin a session, so I'm in my normal life, and then whatever I'm doing before I have a client, right? Hanging out with my cat, having breakfast, whatever. I go into my office space. I, set the intention of we're going to heal this person and may they be healed and transformed. And, I just do some blessings out loud. And then I take the call, and already as I'm talking to someone first, when we're talking about what we're going to focus on, I'm getting the downloads. I'm feeling their energy, their comfort level. It always changes by the time I call them back. And my thing is talking to people like they're my friends, because I'm excited to talk to them. And I think that has people put their guard down a little bit, and they're like, I can just talk to this person over the phone who I don't know in person, but like a friend. And we get into this ease. So that's how I really run my sessions, is like, you're going to talk to an old friend and you're going to get in there and do something really beautiful and sacred. And so for me, I always begin the work with just an expansion of gratitude. And when I'm in that place where I'm just thinking in my heart, like, what am I most grateful for? Who are the people in my life I appreciate the most? Like, I expand from that space, and then it's like I'm on. As soon as I get into my the gratitude like methodology that I use to really expand my core essence, and then begin to journey and do the work in the fifth dimension, in the quantum sphere. That's the fifth dimensional space I work with, if anyone doesn't know the work. That's what it is. And then, I call them back when I'm done. And even though I kind of come back down to like 3D when I'm calling them back, I still have the rush of like the higher realms with me. But I feel like when I'm talking about it, I'm most myself. I'm excited. If higher self is telling me something funny, I know how to deliver it. If it's something serious, like, we go there. I just feel like it's something with maturity, with life. You want a healer who knows how to talk to people. And so, some people are really just kind of cut and dry and don't know how to deliver something delicately. We talk about a lot of serious things. A big area for me in clientele is people who have survived sexual abuse and trauma. So, your audience, know how to comfort someone and talk and hold space for something really serious. And I've had clients come to me who've had people be extremely insensitive to them, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I feel like I rambled a bit there. I don't know if I answered your original question, but
it does make sense. Like, it's true. That is something I think it's so important and I look for in another healer is, are they compassionate?
Yes.
You said, like, the judgmental healers, I'm like, please get off your high horse. You're here to be not to be cause more trauma, because when you judge somebody and they're already going through a very traumatic thing, you're just reactivating that trauma. And so a healer really has to learn how to hold that sacred space for trauma, and that's an art. I think it's a big
absolutely.
A lot of people just maybe want to do healing work or be a healer, but they don't understand you have to hold big space, like massive space for people to just be. And that's actually a beautiful thing. And I think that, being a good healer, you also get the benefits of the healing as well. Like, when the light comes through you, you get more energy. You're actually revitalizing yourself.
Yeah.
There's so many
absolutely
benefits to being a healer. So maybe you want to talk about, I don't know, what do you want to talk about? What do you think it's important? I think entities. Let's talk about entities.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about entities, and then definitely remind me to talk about the qualifications, or when we're vetting out healers. But so something good about energy healing, let's just go into the benefits, right? So clearing out a lot of trapped emotions comes with it, things that are causing physical issues. I personally go in and I clear the patterning underneath something physical, something emotional. But another thing that comes through is, what is foreign attached to you? Is it an entity? I clear ET, alien implants, out of clients through their etheric field. A lot of people don't know that that's where my work goes. The first session, that's the first thing we do. I look to see, hey, do you have, what's the ET race? Why is it in you? A lot of times when I find an ET implant, it is to take energy, causes migraines, causes insomnia. Some people, depending on what their family line is, it's a surveillance thing. If there's someone who is, these are put on, like, you inherit these, the ones that I'm clearing. So sometimes there are people who have had physical and body abductions, or it's something etheric where it's just like the consciousness is being messed with, the soul. But I come in and clear. Usually there's one over the third eye, over the temples, you name it. I've seen that a lot, and people feel different after that. I actually feel how electric someone's body feels, and that's how I know they've got those implants. And then there's entity attachments. I mean, stuff people have picked up. I don't want to say ghosts, but I want to say if I mean, there's stuff flying around. Yeah, there's spirits, let's say spirits, that need a body to attach to and feed. And so what do I see in clients? People who tell me they have anger issues they can't get under control, extreme rage, paranoia. That's usually a sign someone's got an entity attachment. I go in there and I check. I will see their energy body and I will see red glowing eyes. And I'll be like, okay, it's time for you to go. Yeah, bye. And a lot of times it's these beautiful empathic clients of mine who have picked up these attachments from just other people. So good example, if you have a family member who's an alcoholic, they can bring in a lot of these attachments. A lot of people who are alcoholics, they're open. This stuff comes in and attaches because anytime you are doing something that's lowering your awareness and frequency, you probably have more attachments. Addicts have a lot of things, but also there's an entity attached to being addicted to sugar, to drugs, to gluten. There's so much stuff out there. So so even if someone's coming to me for an issue completely unrelated, you better believe I'm checking your body to make sure you are okay and nothing is attached to you and siphoning your energy and contributing to some sort of sickness or anxiety issue. So it goes in a lot of directions.
I love that. I love it. Okay, so first thing we talked about was the ET,
yeah.
So these are etheric sort of, like, what do they look like? What do they feel like? How do you know?
Yeah. So for me, when I see them in your energy body, they look like tiny, tiny microchips. Sometimes they even look like beads. And I usually see them look like metal chips, sometimes over the entire third eye, metal here in the temples. I've seen them in the back of the head. And I see them light up in your body because anything matrix, artificial, false light, that's what shows up in your body when I'm working on you. Also because, the chakras that are put in, those are fourth dimensional. There's many arguments on whether or not chakras are organic or inorganic. So I like to say I'm working with your energy centers. So as I'm going through your body, through your energy centers, anything that shouldn't be there, anything that's foreign, someone sending you energy daggers. Yeah, I see that all the time through jealousy, resentment, someone sending you stuff. Let's say someone who still lives with an abuser, something like that. I see their energy mostly in like the root chakra area, the heart, solar plexus, throat, if someone feels like they can't speak their truth, you name it. So lots of different things. And so with the ET, I basically use this higher dimensional healing orb, and I not only melt the implant, but as I'm pulling it out, I'm pulling out all these strings underneath. These things are like stringy and they attach deep in the client. So got to make sure they're fully out. I had someone come to me say that they already had this stuff removed, but I saw it still in there. That's why I like the quantum view. It's higher, it's outside of time. It goes, it's much more, what's the word, like thorough than I think other modalities do. Because a lot of stuff is working within the confines of the fourth dimension. Like Reiki works in 4D. Quantum healing works in 5D, see? So,
I'm going to step out. So you guys,
yeah.
what I'm trying to say too is like you don't want to come from the place from where the healing is. Like,
yeah,
you come from the same place. Your healer needs to be advanced to the point where they know how to move through dimensions. Okay, that's very important.
Yes.
When they can go to a higher dimension and then bring you up and then get that bird's eye view, you're doing something right.
For sure. Yeah. Entity attachments. I'm trying to see what else that we can focus on. So a lot of people like to talk about cord cutting, and there's ways that people can remove cords. So say if it's like a relationship with an ex and someone wants to come in and do that, I don't call it cord cutting in my work. What I do is I look for person-to-person karma. We do an entire session just based on you clearing karma with someone. This can improve a relationship, or if you had one that ended that's not so good that you want to get past, like a heartbreak. But also the first time I ever practiced this technique was a person when I was learning this modality. She wanted to do it, clear karma between her and her mother. Her mother had already passed away though. Her mother, extremely abusive. And this still works on it. You could still clear karma with someone who's deceased in this type of work. And so that's also, I'm sharing this to people so people can know energy healing. We're using this label because that's our language right now. we can go in so many areas. So yes, we're clearing karma. Since I do quantum, I'm doing timeline work. So I can change somebody's timeline who suffered something super traumatic. Yes, the event happened to you, but I could change how your body receives and holds on to the trauma of that event. I've done timeline jumps for people who have been in airplane crashes and are too scared to get back on planes, or even someone in a past life who died in a fire, who in this life is horrified of flames. And this was actually a 4-year-old, and now he's no longer afraid to use candles. So yeah. So I just want people to know how unlimited this work is. You know, if you can think it's there. And so energy healing, I can't think of anything else where you can't go into a doctor and be like, hey, track this adrenal issue I have to a past life. No, but you can ask an energy healer to do that.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
That's why I love energy healing.
Yeah.
You know, I put my faith in doctors, and I believe my doctor when he said implants were safe. And you know, and after I got sick, I went to doctors to try to figure out what was wrong. And it was really energy healing that got me through this. I don't think I would have survived had I not been connected to other energy healers and doing energy work myself. It's sort of because you're bringing so much light into your body. And, you know, when something foreign is there or something's making you sick, you need to continue bringing that mana life force.
Yes. Yeah.
So energy healing is really powerful. We carry, and maybe we want to talk about this. You know, I talk a lot about past lives, and people are like, what are you talking about? Well,
yeah,
past lives affect this lifetime. It can affect our health. It can affect our relationships. It can affect our money. It can affect our beliefs. It can give us phobias.
Yes, phobias, big one.
Yeah, so I'd love for you to talk about past lives, how that affects people, and how energy healing can help.
Absolutely. I see. So past lives is actually a category that I go through in all of my energy healing sessions. Whatever your issue is that you come to me, we have to look at past lives because you still can hold the patterning for that in your cells. Like sometimes we could call it like cellular debris left over for something that was super traumatic. And so I always ask your higher self, because I only work with higher self in healing sessions. This might be something you guys want to consider too. Some people think they're working with guides, but these aren't guides. These are things posing as guides, something dark, or posing as something angelic. I don't do that. I'm only working with your higher self. And I ask your higher self, are there any past lives that we want to focus on today? And always is yes. And you name the issues. So a lot of women who I work with who have issues with using their voice or being seen, or using their voice, being seen. They have had past lives where they've been persecuted for this. They've been hung as witches. Yes, they've been executed for being energy healers, for speaking their truth. You name it. I mean, most people who come to me who have an affinity for this work have had a past life where they've faced persecution for, say, being a healer, something similar to that, just something that the patriarchy would say, this goes against religion and what we know is true. Many men with this match, of course, gender doesn't matter when we're doing this stuff, of course. And so point being, I am able to track that past life to whatever's blocking them. So I have people who are afraid to launch their own businesses or healing practices, and we've tracked it to a past life where they were not safe to even be alive here. They've had they were murdered, right, for doing something that they care about. So they run the pattern in them that I'm not safe to thrive. Earth is not safe for me. I'm not safe to heal, to be the light, you name it. These are the things that we're clearing, and we have to track what past life brought that up. And so that's, I mean, and this goes to so many things. People who have relationship problems, we track a past life where, you know, sometimes they're the victim or they're the perpetrator. But either way, it's tracked to some sort of past life where there's a pattern that's being played out. Now they're on the other side of that pattern, or not. You know, sometimes it's multiple past lives with a lover, and this is a life where they're returning parts to each other and kind of setting each other free. That's always beautiful to see. We don't know till I'm in the quantum and your higher self shows it to me. And I usually get about 2 to 3 come through per session. So, so much information. I mean, it was a past life that I tracked this kid who was afraid of fire to.
Mhm.
And so with that past life, that's where we did, he like, it was like Christmas, and his house burned down and he died in that fire, and it was like such a special day for him, but he died on that day, so it was horrific. And with like the tree, and so I think there was something holiday related that made this kid nervous too, and we tracked it and we cleared it. And everything we clear in a quantum session gets replaced with a positive intention. And not only did we do that to change his affinity to this, we changed the timeline so that, okay, you didn't burn in this fire, so now fire isn't something he's afraid of. So I wouldn't have been able to find any of that out had I not had this past life come forward.
Mhm. It's incredible. It's so true. Yeah, I've had so many past lives where I've been burned or
Yeah.
some nasty things happen, and we talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
One session, and I was in Greece. I think, I don't know if you were in the temple too, but we were
Yeah.
in the temple as a priestess getting run out, and
Yeah.
and that was like a repeating theme for many of my lives is persecution. So my
Mm-hmm.
opera was like so tied up because I'm like, if I talk, I'm gonna get killed again.
Yes.
And again, I'm like, just it was unbelievable all the stuff that was there. And there's so many layers and layers of it. So
Absolutely.
healing work is not something you just do once and then you never do again. You can, but I relate it to working out or going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Get some maintenance, like at least maybe
Yeah.
a session a month. And if you're working through layers of stuff, you might want to get more because there's so many layers that we're working through in this particular lifetime. This lifetime, we're fleshing it all out. We're working it all out. So there's so much more coming to the surface. And
For sure.
a lot of the astrological stuff, the eclipses, and everything is here as a catalyst to help activate and push that stuff forward. So when that comes forward, we don't want to go back into the shock and trauma, the anger. We do want to feel to heal it, but we want to help facilitate the release, right? We don't
Absolutely.
because that is toxic energy. It's just old stuff that we are recreating ourselves from the inside out. You might want to touch on how we are shifting and how our cells are really changing. I think we're almost like remodeling our being from within, and that's everyone. Some people are having a harder time with this than others because they're afraid and they don't want to move forward, or they're stuck, or there's old patterns running that they can't get out of, or they might have entity attachments.
Yes.
All of that makes a difference, and entities are nasty. They'll really drag you down. And when I first started, I had tons of entities, guys. I got no shame in sharing. I had so many entities, and I was heavily programmed, and I had these entities that matched the programming that I had. A lot of the trauma-based programming.
Yes.
When you go through certain traumas, it creates a void because my soul left my body. I couldn't be there for that trauma. So what happens is the entities are like, perfect, woohoo, and they come in.
Yeah.
And then you come to, and then it's not just you anymore. You got some, friends, and a lot of, I believe a lot of mental disease, illness also has to do with entities, because you have these entities and they're chirping away. They're chirping away. They got their wants, their needs. They want to go get this fix, that fix. They're going to lead you off of your path. So when you start to release those entities out through a professional who can help you and also help to seal, because that's you need to bring back your soul fragment. What left you during trauma needs to come back cleansed and cleared to hold that space. If you got a big space, guess what? It's an entity party. You know what I mean?
Yes. A lot of people don't know that they're actually portals for this stuff, so that their energy needs to be cleared. And how one can, I call it, like, I see a crack in the energy field, and that can come through a lot of trauma, many different ways, even just birth trauma. And it does create this portal, and it's like energy's coming in and out. So you don't feel good in your body ever. You can't stay in body. and you've got entities, you know, coming in and out. And one thing you mentioned with like the professional, I really want to stress, I notice this is used as like an insult in the New Age community. Like, you got entities, like you say that to somebody you don't like. Or I've seen someone tell me she had a problem with this guy and just says, well, entities are possessing him, and that's why. And entities, yes, do like possess people, but you know, I go in and I check and I see, and yes, that stuff can happen. But like, if someone's coming up to you and being like, you got this on you, you got that, and just like be like, okay, unless someone is in your field doing this work on you, that's how we know for sure. And yes, there's things that we can sense when I see someone acting super erratic. I know that they're not in charge of themselves, that they're probably possessed, and then I kind of know to not be near them. That's something. But watch out.
I'm like, bye.
Yeah, I know some spiritual douchey guys who like to let's say bed women by telling them that they can heal them and remove things from them. I've had a lot of people tell me stuff like this. Horrible ways they've been taken advantage of by people, saying they can heal them or clear this for them, and it's actually very predatory. So
well, they have entities.
Yeah, exactly, because they got entities.
That's not the first time I've heard this. I just want to bring some light to this.
Yeah.
I've gone to classes and courses, and women have like been crying because they're like, "Oh, this guy was a healer, and he, you know, I went to him, and there was a crossing of lines where there was, you know, they used this to help advance their sexual desire, you know, and I'm not trying to, I don't want to say, hey, men aren't good healers, but I stick with women because I've had predatory experiences with men as well, who are like, you know, they want to be this hip new ager, but then they end up trying to heal in ways that I don't want to be healed.
Exactly.
Like, bro.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know I needed some sexual healing for my trauma. Thank you. No.
I don't know. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because it's outrageous. And it happens. Yeah.
And it's an insult. And I've never had a woman cross the line with me. I'm sorry, but we need to there's a codes of ethics. And
absolutely.
Really talk about in energy work, there are codes of ethics for healing. You know, you don't ever use this to manipulate. That's just not part of what it's created for. You know, so maybe you want to talk about some of the codes of ethics.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that for sure. I'm still like blown away because I'm really happy I remembered that, because I had heard this a few times and it just infuriated me, and I'm not in a position where I'm allowed to like expose this person. I'm going to let the person, you know, the victim do that, not me. But I get so insulted when I see something meant for health and healing being abused. You see this with a lot of like people who say they're gurus and, you know, they're doing one-on-one private yoga or whatever. I would say this, like, I work with people over the phone. I'm not saying you can never go to somebody in person, but be aware when there's a line being crossed where it's just a little too casual. Your healer, even though my language with you when I speak to a client is like we're an old friend, it's so that we're comfortable, and I need to get to know a person so I can properly interact with higher self and know this person's personality and know what messages I'm getting. But if it's just too casual where you healer wants to hang out with you like afterwards, no, like there has to be this thing. My process in my training has been minimum contact with clients in between sessions, answer their questions, but not trying to form a relationship with anybody, you know. That's so important.
The sexual nature, like that's there are ethics, you know, and it's so important that people take this work seriously, because you can cause major trauma and trust issues, you know, if like, if you're a guy that's trying to get laid and you're using energy healing, please don't do that.
Don't. And like your stuff, your heal, if that's your intention, then the person, like, they're not even trying to heal you. So whatever is like being done to you by someone, so say they haven't actually done something or assaulted a person yet, but if you can pick up that that's their vibe, that's what they do, you've heard it, why would you want someone like attaching their darkness onto you. This is a thing I have seen with certain Reiki practitioners, because they're touching you. They need to be extremely discerning, right, of where they're pulling their light. There's a dark stream of light, a light stream of light apparently, and where they're putting this on the body for healing. And the healer you're going to, if they haven't worked on their own shadow or their own stuff, they're touching you. Energy transfers through touch. So I'm not just calling out Reiki. I'm saying if you're doing anything where a person is even just massaging you, right? If something doesn't feel good, like you want to be aware of that and cut it off before it begins, okay? Trust your feelings on this. A person who is just super popular on Instagram's got a lot of followers. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that like maybe their head isn't at providing deep healing sessions. Maybe they are, and that they're a really good energy healer and they're just popular. Okay. Don't pick out your healer though on how many followers they have or how many selfies of them, drinking golden milk that they have. Pick out your pick out your healer on their testimonials.
So true. And I just want to interject here because because I was on my I was like a healing a connoisseur, so I was like, I'm gonna practice. And then I went on YouTube and I found like the guy with the most hits, like the most popular healer, and he was working out of Venice. And it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy has so many views. I've got to go see him out of, this is just out of curiosity because I'm a connoisseur. So I wanted to check it out. I went to see him and then I immediately was like, oh, I don't know about this. He was putting his hands like on my back and I was just like, yuck. And like I've worked on Britney Spears, I've worked on all these people, blah, blah, blah. And
wow.
I'm just going gross. I don't know what it is. Your energy is so gnarly and your energy is dirty. And I had to get up and remove myself. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay you. Thank you. I've had enough. I had to go. I had to stage myself, clear myself. The wrong people, when they're touching you, can embed more garbage in you than you started. So I had to actually take that session and clear it out. I don't regret it because I think it's so good to have contrasting experiences. I wouldn't do that now in this stage, but when I was just learning about it, it was really good for me to see the difference between energy, But yeah, he was super popular. He was considered the best healer in the world. That's what it said on his, stuff. And he had like outrageous amounts of views. It was like, wow, 30,000. I don't know. It was really, really a lot. So I was just intrigued, but don't let that shiny stuff seduce you. Like, the real
absolutely
are they're all about their work, and you're gonna get a vibe off of them. You're not gonna get the creepy vibe. You're gonna get the positive vibe. Like for sure. So I'm very careful now who I let touch me, and that goes for also body work, like massages. I can tell when somebody's thinking nasty thoughts and they're massaging you. Please stop right now. Like, I don't want to tell you. I can kind of tune into your thoughts right now. And
you have to trust what you're feeling when you're getting this type of work done. And if you think, oh, I'm just being paranoid or I'm being weird, I say go with your intuition. Better safe than sorry. And if you're not someone who knows how to like get rid of some sort of energy you've picked up, it's good to, I guess in that way, knowing other modalities, really doing research and reading about it so you'll know what you want in a healer. I had such a brilliant experience with my shaman and how she trained me. Definitely she trained us in, because she's been doing this like her whole life. So the table bedside manner, I guess you could call it, when we were doing, actually I was learning quantum sphere healing, there were energies in the class I wasn't so comfortable with. Some I felt really home with, and I went with that. And the person who I wasn't comfortable with actually did. I'm not saying this. I can't help that he was a man, but said something super inappropriate regarding my root chakra, which was not okay, and it was extremely sexualized. And I was shocked that I was in this safe space, yet I felt violated at the same time. So stuff like this can happen at any time. and you want to just be, if someone is saying something to you, be like, what? Like, can you just call them out? You know, be very careful with, it's like there's this physical, emotional, mind, just intimate thing you got going on here when you're doing healing work. And when someone crosses the line with you, cut it off. Don't care if they think they're in some higher position than you, because they're not. Egoic healers who aren't in, there's people who are just into the work and then who want to be a persona. And I think those people stand out pretty clear online, but sometimes they don't, because you believe them. Because why shouldn't you sometimes, right? If they're saying some stuff. But I've had gurus betray me in the past year, very, very popular spiritual teachers, because they know how to cleverly mix a lie in with some truth. So that's something I would say look out for too.
Yeah, that is important. And, you know, a good healer is going to, you're going to feel empowered, because a good healer wants you to be, I mean, like, they want you,
Mm-hmm.
they don't want you to go to them forever. They want you to get better, and so that, you know, or go, you know, as a sort of like a checkup, a check-in, right?
Right.
Yes, I do believe that in the beginning of certain healing, you know, when you just start and you're just clearing layers, you might go through a lot of sessions, but then you just have maintenance, you know?
Yeah, maintenance. It's not every day.
It's not every day. So your healer, you want to feel empowered. Like they want to keep, so a good healer wants to keep taking you to the next level. And every next level also has more stuff, you know, to clear and to work on, and to alchemize. We're really about alchemizing. You're going to feel like, wow, I could deal with that situation, but I can deal with it differently now. Like, you're going to feel a difference. It might be subtle, it might be dramatic, but I think, you know, you start to feel in your own heart, like if someone has your best interest for you. And so trust yourself. Like, there are times when I went into session and I with people and I was like, I don't know, and it wasn't good, you know, or they were great, you know, and I started to use my heart chakra to help guide me. Like, is this person have my best interest? And they're going to care about you. They're not going to be your best friend, because that's not what healers are here for.
Exactly.
They're here to assist you on your journey, and that's what they're here for. They're wonderful.
Absolutely.
To help you. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, that's what they're here for, to assist, to empower. They're not supposed to be reaching out to you for sessions, you know, saying, okay, of course, you know, you can set up a plan with the healer every like once a month or whatever. But if someone's like shaking you down, look out for that. See on their website how they came into their work. Are they trained? I've got certifications in you know, 2 different ones in quantum sphere healing, advanced quantum sphere healing, other modalities that I've done. Like, you want to see that people have done that they're not just gonna, you know, hey, I'm just gonna start working on people. You know, I'm not saying people don't have gifts like that, but someone who has a maturity to them, and you can just tell by your interactions. That has nothing to do with age. That just has to do with how serious they take their work, I think. If they want to answer questions with you or not, or they kind of leave you hanging, or are they running the show in the beginning of the session? Are they telling you what they're going to do versus what you want done? Those are a couple of things you can look for.
Listening is really, I think it's really
to
listen. And when they take the time to listen, that's so important, to be heard and to be listened to. Yeah, there's so many beautiful things. So maybe we could pick it up again and do like a part 2 for this.
For sure, yeah.
There's a lot to talk about. I'd like to talk about more. We'll circle back about this, but also really about the mental illness and healing, and how that can help people as well.
Absolutely. And also, one thing I'd like to say before we say goodbye and we pick this up again is, I also think it's important, I'd like to share this personally with my experience, is that if you are going through a physical issue, it's important that your healer is honoring that and not just spiritualizing what's happening to you. I've worked with a channeler who was saying that physical things that I was going through was like oh, this is a third eye upgrade, or this is that, and this is this. And I'm not saying that these things don't come through for people, but if your physical conditions are being ignored and just overly spiritualized, that's just something to look forward to. Because even though a lot of us, like myself, don't trust traditional medicine, I like to tell, yeah, it's both. There's this balance where I like to tell people, well, I understand you're going through this and I've energetically supported you, but do you have blood work done? Let's make sure you know there's nothing because a lot of my clients have autoimmune issues, and so I know I'm not going to give them just an emotional explanation for their autoimmune stuff. We got to talk about inflammation and body flare-ups. So just one thing to put out there to see that there's a balance in your healer's approach.
Absolutely, because it's all about being holistic.
Right.
And I always say we're the whole pie, not just a slice, you know. Energy work is one important slice of the whole.
Yes.
But yeah, like, you know, you want to make sure, like I just got my full blood panel, you know, vitamin D, like you want to get checked.
Yes.
Just because like I did have some issues with the medical system, I still utilize the good things about it, because everything has pros and cons, you know. So we want to find what works best for us, and that happens with time and wisdom. But yeah, I think it's important to have access to all of it. And, you know, energy is not quite mainstream. You know, it's getting more and more. And then, of course, in our community, we know about it because all of our friends and things like that are into it. But it's just becoming more well known. So I'm hoping that we could bring more information forward and let people know there are many ways you can heal. Obviously, like, you know, drinking green juices and you know, taking care of yourself, taking care of your physical body. It all matters. It's not just one, but it's all part of the protocol of being a healthy human being going through this life journey. So thank you.
Absolutely. Of course. Thank you.
And until next time, so much love. Mwah. Have a great day.